Hapade Tiro, welcome to your, I almost said your humanities half hour. This is Marianas Stories, and we're so pleased to be with you today here at the home of Senor Donald Mendiola. Senor.
Buenas everyone.
So we're very grateful that he allowed us to come to his home today for today's show, and we're going to have a little bit different format today in consideration of social distancing. So you'll see mostly him on the camera today, and I'll be in the background behind the camera. Senor, I was wondering if we could, I could ask you to show us some of the plants that you have in your yard.
Okay.
Yeah?
Sure, no problem. But remember that it's been so dry that a lot of the plants have died out. So they'll probably start growing when it starts raining again. But we'll go ahead and take that short tour, and I'll show you the plants that I do have still alive and can be used for making concoctions.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Why don't you take the lead and I'll follow you.
Okay, sure. Follow me this way.
And this is a new format for all of us, so just bear with us. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Here we're going down to the eastern corner of the house. And first I'm going to show you the Admagosun halumtanung, or the wild bitter melon plant. It's a vine. It's growing all over around the guava tree, which I also use for medicine. It's used for a lot of different kinds of illness, and it's also one of the ingredients that's used for the women's douche. Everybody knows what's that for. Women's douche. And magosu is very good for babies when babies have congestion on the chest. And you can just pound several of these leaves and squeeze the juice and feed it to the baby. And that should clear the congestion from the baby's chest. Okay, let's move on down to the laguana. And here we have it's a soursop. Soursop. These are nice new leaves that can be used for medicine. A lot of people boil these as cleanser and anti-cancer brew. They boil all the leaves, they would rinse them, boil them, and drink them to prevent getting cancer, or to fight the cancer if they already have it. As you can see, there are some tiny fruits. I count 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fruits on this very tiny tree.
Wow.
Yeah. Next we're going. Oh, I have sugar cane that we can chew and drink the juice. And it's also used for medicine.
What kind of medicine?
It can be used for women when they're already menstruating. It could be used also for what we call the calenturan tetanus. And I guess that kind of translates to meningitis.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Calenturan tetanus literally means fever of the brain. And I guess that's what meningitis is on babies, right? When it's so severe. Okay. Oh, down that way, I have the badbena. This is badbena. You don't see very many of that anymore. But they grow wild here.
Did you have to transplant that from someplace else?
No. Just the seeds from the older plants.
So sometimes you have to go look for medicine in the forest.
Oh,
right?
yeah, a lot of them. I get most of them when I have to go to the forest. And here's a certain type of plant that can be used for an outside broom. We call it chamorro escobiza. This one. The root of this plant is used for amutsagwi, for like after a surgery. Okay, up here, here's a tree. This is called alum. And it could be used in many different cures also. Its primary uses is actually for the amun makpung, makpungamko, where you cut the the branch, straight branch, and you scrape the bark, and the bark is pounded with other ingredients for amon magpungamko.
What kind of disease is that?
Oh, that's a total general cleanser for the adults. That's why they call it the amko.
Oh, okay.
For amko. Sorry about the mess in the back, but they were in the back. This is the gasusu. In English, it's called the soap plant. In the Palawan, they call it hasosho. And this is the main ingredient for Tininong San Antonio, or when you have the shingles. This is the main leaf that is chewed by the zoamti, and they blow it out onto the shingles to cure it. It stops the shingles moving right after the first treatment. But this is not the only one. You have to add 2 others to make it complete. Okay?
Wow, this tree is really taking over.
Yes. Yeah. And it grows very quickly. And here I have my damage, my fash, my agak. The agak tree. The root of the agak is used for medicine also.
Oh, really?
Yes. It could be used for amon makpo, mutsagwe. It's used for a lot of different kinds of cures, but it's only the root that has not reached the ground. That's the remainder of what you two did to my super huge tronkunagak. That's where I used to get my leaves for weaving mats and whatever. Papayas, but papayas are medicine, For when you have constipation, just eat the fruit. So it's like it's a laxative.
The ripe fruit, no?
Yeah, the ripe fruit. It's a laxative. And we also use the green papaya to tenderize meat when the meat is very tough, like fresh cow.
Really?
And if you're going to make soup, yeah. Just get one and clean it and just throw it in the soup. And the enzymes from the sap of the papaya will tenderize the meat. Okay. Here's a very old, very brown, dying kahlo.
Wow, I've seen a lot of these before.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were a medicine.
Yes, that's medicine. That's used for amut fresco and many different things. Even for problems with your teeth, when your teeth are falling off, the roots of that is used with other ingredients and they're pounded together. Or they make you drink it.
And you learned most of this application of herbs
from my fraternal grandmother, my nana, and from my other grandma, my mom's mom also, because she knew a lot of medicine, as well as at least 30 other manamku who taught me their knowledge.
Wow.
When I was growing up. Remember the last time we spoke, I started treating, healing people, helping, and making medicine when I was 9 years old. And that's like ages and ages ago, decades and decades ago.
9 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was interested when I was 8.5. So this would be a while just to learn the names of the plants. Oops. I got my microphone. But
now, this is a plant that many of us are familiar with and enjoying at this time.
Really? Yeah, not everybody's got that fruit up there.
But I gotta ask, are there any medicinal applications for mango?
Yeah, the leaves can be used also as cleanser.
Really?
But yeah, the local Chamorros don't use the mango leaves really. But it's just some other cultures that use it, like the Filipinos and the Indonesians, Malaysians, they use the mango leaves as part of their cleansing recipe. Even the tangerine leaves, that's very good for coughing.
Really?
What you do is just grab 2 handfuls of that and break it in your hands and throw it in a pot of boiling water, and then you inhale the vapors to clear your breathing, your congestion if you have congestion. That's very effective. It's very good.
So it should be like the tangerine leaf, not the lemon.
It could be lemon, but tangerine is better because it's not as harsh. It doesn't make you cough really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Oh, this way.
So, are most of these plants, have they been here for like as long as you've lived here, or did you like bring some of them in?
A lot of them have been here before we moved over, but then some of them I planted, like the amutumaga, the badbena. Here, this just grew by itself without being planted. This is the ahgaw. Ahgaw is, it's supposed to have a lot of, this is the type that is used for medicine. You notice that the color of the branch is kind of reddish here. This is the part that is used for medicine. If the ahgaw doesn't have the red branch, then we don't use it as medicine. Here, for example, look at this. From this one branch, it broke into two. There's a red one here, and this one is just a white one. Oh. So the white one is not going to be used. So we use the young leaves for pounding as well as the bark. We scrape the bark and use it for medicine too.
Thank you for help with that microphone.
Sure.
So you've been doing this since you were learning this since you were 8.5.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could, and of course you've written a book.
Yes.
Where a lot of your knowledge of how to apply these different
well, at least
plants.
almost, well, not a lot of it, but enough, probably. There are only 77 plants that I have in that book. And that book is so limited. I only got 300 printed. And I don't even have one left for myself. I gave them all away. There's amutumaga right there.
Wait. Oh, okay.
This is very useful. It's used for amutanso, for tonsillitis, for sore throat, and it's used for babies teething, and many other different kinds of uses.
Does that plant get any bigger?
Yeah, sure. It's just like a tiny bush, but when it's so alive, you know, it can grow more than 6 feet tall. But for now, since it's growing in the front yard, and it's so dry that the plant is not that tall.
Sorry.
Okay, we're back.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Obviously, you're one of the more experienced. I will say this. I know that you're a very humble person, and you wouldn't say this about yourself, but you are definitely a resource that not only researchers and researchers and professionals come to, but known in the community that people can come to for help. In your time of experience, what would you say, or have you any thoughts on what is the root of healing?
Oh,
when it comes
okay.
to traditional healing?
They say it's a gift, and I believe that it is so because not everybody is meant to do it. The reason being is you have to have so much compassion for other people. You have to try to get yourself to be in their shoes for you to understand what they're going through, and so that's what's going to make you want to help them out. Unlike medical professionals, they go to school and then they get compensated for it, but the traditional healing actually comes from the heart. And when they give us gifts, we do appreciate it, but it has to come from the heart when we do so. And there's other different types of healing. There's the natural healing, which is the herbal. And then there's some that has to do with the addition of spirituality. Some of the locals, they would pray to God and say the Our Father, glory be, so as to make the medicine more effective for them to help others. It was very necessary back in the ancient times to have at least one person in a family know how to make medicine, because that's all they had to keep themselves healthy. And whenever anybody got sick, there was no CHCC and other clinics for them to go get help. And so it was either grandma or aunt or uncle, whomever in the family who would help them. I was very interested when I was 8.5 years old, because I would see my grandmother and my grandfather's sister pounding away and healing people, helping them. And I always thought of myself as somebody who would reach out to try to help somebody. And so I was interested, and then I learned, and here I am, almost 50 years later, still helping. Besides the fact that we have to practice social distancing. Sometimes people would just call up and ask me what I could do to help them, and I would ask them what their illness was. And then I would just give them a list of plants that they could put together, boil it or pound it, and drink the extract if it were pounded, or just drink the concoction or the tea from when it's boiled, or just do whatever. I just give them rituals, tell them what to do, and when they follow through with it, they seem to be satisfied, because maybe it's partly because of the faith that they can get healed after searching for that cure. So when they do follow through with what I ask them to perform, they do get better. And they're just knocking on wood that every time I help somebody, they truly will be helped. And you have to be humble and give glory to God for every time that you do something good, because all goodness comes from God. God is the source of all good, all truth, all love. Everything that's good comes from God. And so we have to remember to give thanks all the time. And when we do something, we have to do it to the best of our ability, to the best of what we should do with it. And if it's a gift, then use it not only for yourself, but for others in general. Okay.
How do you think your growth as in your understanding as a healer has changed you as a person?
Oh my gosh, a lot. It has made me more calm, patient, and in spite of this coronavirus scare that we're all going through, the reality of it, I mean, people have died and stuff, I mean, throughout the world, I'm actually very peaceful. I have no fear about it, because maybe because of how I am aware of God's presence in my life. That's why I don't have any fear of it. Because in my belief and my reality, if God were to permit me to get it, then I will be infected. But maybe, but if He didn't want me to get it, of course I'm not going to get it. And regardless of whatever I did with people who are infected, either I touch them, I give them a kiss, a blow on the cheek, or whatever, I still won't get it, because of how my reality is. My reality is always being aware of God in my life. And that's what I try to instill in people, to try to remember that God is always with them. God is with me and with you, with everybody, all equally the same. Not more on me or less on you, or more on you and less on me, but equally. It's just how we carry ourselves in life, how we work with God in our lives. And then when you do, you realize that, and then you become more aware. It starts making you do things very humbly, acknowledging God's hands in everything you do, giving thanks for all the successes that you go through in life. It makes you become a better person, very peaceful, calm, loving, and very compassionate person. And I'm not regretting, not for a moment, for what I do. Even if at times in the past, I will use up so much of my time that I could have spent having fun, going out with my friends, going to the bars, because I chose to do what I do. But it's not like before. People don't come here for those kinds of illnesses much anymore. For example, when babies have cold sores, they used to pound away like almost on a daily basis, sometimes 2 or 3 in a day, and they get help. But nowadays, somehow babies are probably evolving through God's grace that they won't be needing the amud patsup that much anymore, because they don't come as often anymore. And whoever comes here, I don't have the right. I call that. I'm saying I don't have the right to turn down anybody, because if someone were to make it to my driveway, then that person has been ordained by God to come, because of my awareness of God in my life.
Some people may be surprised that we're talking about traditional medicine, and in this particular conversation, we're not just talking about the physical concoctions, but about the emotional side of healing. What role do emotions have in either our sickness or our healing, in your experience?
Okay. When you are feeling down, when you are stressed, being stressed is very dangerous, because that's the mind that's being affected. And so when you get stressed, all kinds of illnesses start visiting you. You get headache, you get body aches, you have a stomach ache, and they can all come down, or originate from just stress. It's a very dangerous illness because it deals with the mind, and the mind is the spirit. So that's why we suffer a lot when we're stressed. So we try to maintain calm. When something bad is happening and we have no control over it, maybe we can just sit down for a minute or two and meditate, or just say a prayer, say an Our Father. Lead us not to temptation, deliver us from evil. And everything that's bad to you, that happens to you, may not always be evil, but then if it truly were evil, then when we say that prayer, we believe that God will take away that evil. And so an illness can be evil for the body, and so even that illness can probably be taken away by the Lord. If, in case, we really truly believe in our hearts that God is one and all, and we depend on Him. We're so modern that a lot of people are dismissing the presence of God in their lives, but on the contrary, as time goes on, as I age, I become more dependent, to the point that I am aware that without God's presence, I won't be able to take my breath. I can't breathe without Him, without my awareness of Him. Because I know that He does everything for us. He gives us life. I'm not a religious person. I don't call myself a religious person to be in one set or organized religion. I was born and raised a Catholic, but my faith in God is based more on loving, being compassionate, and not having to argue with other denominations or other faiths that have to say, they argue about the truth of God. I focus more on how God would treat a person if a person needed help. More compassion, loving and understanding. And if I don't understand, then I pray and ask the Holy Spirit to guide me, to give me some understanding, so I don't have to stress myself and try to figure out on my own, because I know I can't do it. Without God, I can't do anything. So much less, breathing, and then you have thinking. God has to play that role. But you have to cooperate with the Lord. I'm not doing this, I'm saying this. Am I being religious? No. I guess I'm speaking the spirituality of how I am. The truth of, I guess I'm more spiritual now than I used to always be, when I always thought I was spiritual then. Doing the Lisazu, the novena, memorizing the Lisazu when I was 11 years old, not reading the book. I even wrote it up in English and gave it to a sister Crucelista who had to make it laid out in a booklet for English. I translated it. I'm more into the spirituality. Why are we all connected? Because if God were to love only one group of people, then the rest are non-existent. They're non-existent. So, but see, we're all alive. We're all eating, drinking, breathing, blah, blah, blah. So there's that one God that loves all of us, regardless of whether we believe or not. Because even atheists are still alive. And if it were true that only those who believed in a certain God have the right to existence, then where is it? Where is that God? Because we're all equally cared for by the Lord. God loves us. And I guess what I'm saying is, I love Jesus so much, and I try to follow His teaching, to love God above all, and love your neighbor as yourself. So if I love myself, of course I love my neighbors. If I care about my health, of course I'm going to care about the health of others. If somebody comes here for help, of course I'm going to do something that I'm able, to the point of how much I can give to make a difference in the person's health. I would do that. That's me. I can't speak for everybody else, but because you wanted me to speak more about what it takes to become a healer, it's somebody who's you have to be very compassionate. You have to be able to feel for other people, because otherwise you'll be just like a robotic kind of a doctor. I don't know however that's going to be possible in the future, but you have to have compassion, and that in itself produces extremely powerful healing energy when you're doing it for the purpose of healing the person, helping the person. But in this case, I'm doing it for God, for the greater glory of God. Then everybody else falls into place. So when somebody comes here and asks me to make a certain concoction, I remember what Jesus says. Whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you do unto me. So it's always in my mind. Okay, Lord, I'm doing this for you, regardless. Even if you don't need it, but I'll do it for you anyways, because I love you. And I believe in everything you say. Yeah, all healers have to be compassionate, because you have to be able to be strong in your heart, to be able to withstand the illness that can probably backfire when you make medicine, especially if it's a spiritual cure. A lot of the spiritual healers believe that it can backfire. Instead of you helping the person, or maybe the person gets healed, then you end up carrying the illness that they had. But then if you're stronger than that illness, with your belief in God's power to remove the illness from somebody, then God will, of course, provide the protection for you. So you'll be okay. We have to be very honest and humble. Never take the credit for it. Of course, I wouldn't do anything other than what God permits. Sometimes someone would ask me for an incantation. I go, if I were to teach you this, would you even understand what it meant? And they would go, oh, no, as long as I say it. I go, see, it won't work. Because it has to come from the heart. You have to know the meaning of every syllable that comes out of your mouth. Every word, but within the word, you have syllables. So each syllable has a meaning, a deeper meaning to it. So when we utter words, these are words that you normally don't hear. Or you would hear, but you wouldn't understand what it meant. But then when you're saying it, you have to know what it means. Because if you don't, then what's the use of saying the incantation? It won't work, because you have all the energies to combine, put them all together into one effective healing energy. So that's how it is.
You mentioned that a healer needs to be compassionate.
Yes.
So in that sense, if an average person is able to open their heart and extend compassion to another person, do they have the ability to be a healer in that instance also?
I never heard that it would be possible, but there's nothing impossible in God's hands. However, if the person really is a very compassionate person who is healed, maybe God can work to that same person who got healed. And that would be, man, that would be wonderful. That would be spreading out the glory of God throughout the world. And people seeing that probably can become more compassionate. And since we're all connected, whatever any one compassionate action that is done improves the consciousness of humanity as a whole. Because we all come from one source. Not one of us was born without a soul that came from God. Because it's impossible for anyone else to create souls other than the great divine himself.
You mentioned before we started our show today that you were not encouraging people to come and visit you at home this time. We just want to make that clear. Although you still do consult people thanks to the wonders of technology.
Yes.
So people can reach out to you via Facebook, and you were actually able to help people in that capacity.
Oh yeah, well, I asked them if they believe that I could help them regardless of the location that they're at, because I can't invite people to come over here now because we have to social distance. They have to follow through with all the government regulations regarding this pandemic. So they would call me on WhatsApp, and I would say, okay, let's have a video chat. And so I need to see you for me to say a prayer over you and do some incantations. And if you believe that I can do that, then let's do it. And it's been quite interesting because I've done quite a lot, more than my 10 fingers if I were to count. And
probably more to come if this social
probably not.
distancing.
Probably not if they don't order on my number, because I won't be able to take a break from my chew. But
but you said you're really finding this time alone a good time for
more inner,
self-reflection?
more self-discovery, inner discovery of our roles, my role of in this scheme of God's creation and what we all can do, and just sometimes just sending out good vibes, positive energy towards people that here are sick. So I would like pray or just think of them in my mind and then picture them, me throwing flowers and stuff as, blessings and healing energy, doing that. Or picture myself above the globe, and like with Jesus Christ, I slit my chest open, take out the heart and squeeze the blood on the earth. All kinds of imaginations, but it doesn't hurt to do that. I mean, with good intent to help others.
So we have a question actually from a viewer at this time, and they would like you to summarize where you feel your healing power comes from.
It doesn't come from me. It comes from God. God is the source of all illness. I mean, the source of all healing.
Healing, okay.
Yeah. To summarize, I'll announce it to the world that God is the source of all healing, and I don't have any other place where I can get it to use it to help others, but from God Himself. Yeah.
I guess my final question, unless there's anything else you'd like to ask, is what do you hope for in your future here on Earth? Is there something that you would further like to attain or understand or do in this capacity of healing? Or maybe not. Maybe you want to travel the world.
Yeah, I do. I really want to do that, but it's not free to ride on an airplane. I just have been praying so many years that I'm asking God to permit me to be more useful in spreading His word. I don't go around evangelizing and stuff like that because I'm not religious, but I just want to be more useful. I'm here to be useful. I want God to use me, and I've constantly been asking Him, Lord, if you can make more use out of me, then I give you full permission. And if at all possible, I would rather that your will be my will and my will go away. And so everything I do is just your will. And so I won't make a mistake. And so all I do for the good of others. Well, for the good of God first, and then for others. That's my absolute desire. That God's will and my will are just one, and that everything I do is done by God. And if He do Himself, I would do it. God permitting rather. And then if that were to happen, I probably won't need to go to heaven, because I'll just be here on earth and enjoying heaven at the same time. That's what I want to do. Everything I do, everything I say, all about me. It's not me. It's all about the Lord. And I give my heart. I've given my heart, my soul, my everything to God many years ago. And I've believed and taken it onto myself. And I don't want to offend any of the denominations or religions, but I've come to, on my own opinion, I've espoused the Holy Spirit in my heart, and I've espoused the truth and love of God and compassion and everything that's godly. I'm not the God. I'm not God. I'm a human being like everybody else. And it hurts my heart not to be able to reach that point where I can do all that I can to help everybody. I know that helping one person at a time is good enough. People rejoice, the heavens rejoice, but I guess my dream is bigger than that. It's just too good for everybody.
And that's a big dream.
Yes. Hopefully it will get granted. No, that's someone just calling for about something. For another help, but a different kind of help. Okay.
Well, thank you for...
You're welcome. And thank you, everybody, for those of you who are watching. And those of you who know me, you're just going to go, oh, another repetition of what we just usually hear from him when we go see him. And I love you all. And stay safe, CNMI. Please follow social distancing. And don't be naughty. Stay at home. Spend more time at home with your kids. My colleagues, my superiors at PSS, with you, And let's hope that we get out of this and continue moving forward for our kids. I stand behind all of PSS. Thank you, everybody, and I stand behind the government too. I'm for everybody. See, that's me. I cannot choose sides. I choose everybody. I can't leave anybody out. That's one of the saying. No child left behind. In this case, not even an adult can be left behind. So we can do that. If we could do that, oh my God! Like I said, I don't have to go to heaven. I'll just enjoy it here. Idus Masi, Kiliso. Maraming salamat po, and all the other languages. Maraming. Thank you very much.
Well, I think one of our viewers, Sayel, sums it up. She says, "Thank you, Senor, for being a great traditional healer." Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome, and thank you too.
All right. Well, we've been chatting here at the home of Senor Donald Mendiola. Senor, thank you for having us. And during this chat, exercising our social distancing. And just hope that you've been inspired by a tour of your home today. Thanks for giving us a tour and gain some knowledge and information that will help you and help your family and help you improve your life. So as Senor said, take care of yourselves, and thanks for watching Marianas Stories. We'll see you next month. Adios, Lela.
Lela.